Hello and welcome to our viewers on ASI News broadcast, bringing you the latest top news for today. Top Obama aide in Beijing to highlight vital China ties. Barack Obama's top White House national security aide lands in Beijing on Sunday, signaling that ties with China remain a priority despite turmoil and tensions tearing at U.S. foreign policy. National Security Advisor Susan Rice is expected to meet President Xi Jinping and other senior Chinese officials in talks which come 2 weeks after Washington accused a Chinese fighter jet of buzzing one of its spy planes. The talks will likely focus on key areas of contention between Washington and Beijing, including China's maritime territorial disputes with U.S. allies in the region and a long-running cyber hacking row between the two powers. Rice will also help set the table for a one-to-one summit between Obama and Xi, which is being planned to coincide with the U.S. leader's visit to the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC) summit in Beijing in November. The Obama-Xi summit could take place in an informal setting, following up on the meeting the two leaders held in California last year. Obama and Xi could also come face-to-face at the United Nations General Assembly in New York later this month, though no meeting has been announced. Rice's visit is intended as a signal that despite being pulled into a new conflict in the Middle East against the Islamic State and being consumed by a showdown with Russia over Ukraine, Washington remains committed to its policy of reorienting U.S. power to Asia. The reality is that there are few global problems of the 21st century that will be solved without the U.S. and China at the table, and as such, we believe it is important to maintain direct and close contact with Chinese leadership on a range of pressing issues. Rice visits Beijing at a time when other top U.S. foreign policy officials, including Secretary of State John Kerry, Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel, and the top White House counterterrorism advisor Lisa Monaco, are fanning out across the Middle East to build a coalition to take on IS. The fact that Rice will be in China at the same time is intended to demonstrate the importance Obama attaches to ties with Beijing, a White House official said. Rice is officially the guest of Chinese State Councilor Yang Jiechi, but as well as seeing Xi, is also expected to meet Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and other key officials. She will be in Beijing after China told the United States to end air and naval surveillance near its borders, which it said was damaging relations between the Pacific powers and could lead to, quote, undesirable accidents, end quote. The latest irritant came when Washington said an armed Chinese fighter jet flew dangerously close last month to U.S. military aircraft off Hainan Island over the South China Sea in an incident which recalled a standoff over a downed U.S. spy plane in Hainan in the same area in 2001. Rice may also take the opportunity to restate Washington's support for democracy in Hong Kong after Beijing bristled at its backing for protesters who are demanding universal suffrage in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. New Jersey woman with 3 jobs eulogized as face of low-wage worker. Maria Fernandez, a New Jersey woman with 3 part-time jobs who died while sleeping in her car between shifts, was remembered on Friday as much for her generosity as for becoming the face of millions of struggling U.S. low-wage workers. A day after hundreds of U.S. fast food workers staged protests in some 150 cities in a fight for higher pay, Fernandez was eulogized by family and friends who said their grief was eased by knowing that her death was contributing to a national conversation about raising the minimum wage. Fernandez, 32, died while napping in a parking lot in Elizabeth, New Jersey on August 25th. She was apparently overcome by fumes from a gas can she kept in her car to be sure she wouldn't run out of fuel on her way to her part-time shifts at Dunkin' Donuts stores in 3 different New Jersey towns. Society has a way of looking down at people who try to make ends meet, who seek above the minimum wage. Her friend, Rochelle Sylvester, 24, told Mooners. Maria won that battle. Even in death, she's bringing about change and awareness and a movement in the job market. More than a dozen fellow Dunkin' Donuts employees were among the 70 mourners at the Evans Gordon Funeral Home in New York. It was not far from where Fernandez lived with her dog and 2 cats when she was not working the overnight shift in Linden, the afternoon shift in New York, or weekends in Harrison. To go to 3 jobs, go home to take care of her pets and her friends, where she found time to sleep was in the car or sometimes at home for an hour or 2. She was always on her feet, her friend and co-worker Armando Gonzalez said. From what happened with Maria, hopefully the state can see we need to raise the minimum wage so we don't have to kill ourselves to make ends meet, said Gonzalez, citing his own difficulty living on the barely $300 a week he takes home from his full-time job at Dunkin' Donuts. The minimum wage in New Jersey is $8.25, above the federal minimum of $7.25, but far below the $15 minimum demanded by fast food protesters in a series of nationwide job actions. Dunkin' Donuts did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In the wake of the recession, there has been an increase in the use of part-time workers, said Joan Entmacher, an expert in economic security at the National Women's Law Center. Employers aren't sure where the economy is going, so they hire part-time workers because they're cheaper and not usually eligible for benefits or overtime, Entmacher said. Nearly 2 million people in the United States are juggling 2 part-time jobs and 2/3 of them are women, the NWLC said. Men tend to take on a part-time job for extra income if they already have a full-time job, which usually includes such benefits as health insurance, according to the NWLC's analysis of 20 years of Bureau of Labor Statistics data. The money that Fernandez eked out was often spent buying pizza for homeless people, candy for children, and gifts to cheer friends, mourners recalled. Her former boyfriend, Richard Culhan, 38, recalled how she bought clothes for him and his 3 young sons. Stay with us on ASI News Broadcast with all the latest news from the U.S., brought to you from the American Studies Institute from Tehran. You can also check our website at www.asipress.us. Thanks for watching.